Hello and welcome back to Maidens of the Spear, where we two maidens talk about Wheel of Time. Right now we are talking about why I feel Egwene ain't so bad, you guys.
Egwene ain't so bad.
She ain't that bad, you guys.
She ain't that bad. And
Sarah,
let's be honest. Let's be honest. When we say you guys, we mean you guys.
We mean you guys, okay?
Yeah.
I know you guys have your pick your favorites. I know everybody loves men. Of course, guys love men.
Of course,
the guys love Avienda.
She'll sit on your lap and tell you about your glorious destiny.
Oh, she'll just sit on your lap and stroke your hair and say, my poor sheep herder.
Aww.
Of course you love men and her tight breeches. Who doesn't?
Who doesn't?
Also love men.
I love men. Men's great. Men is the only tether Rand has to his humanity, and I love her for it.
I get a little frustrated with men. I'll admit it.
But we're not here to talk about men.
We're here to talk about why
Egwene ain't so bad, you guys.
Okay? We're here to talk about Egwene. People say she's bossy. She is.
I can summarize the Egwene hatred because
I
have felt it, and I feel it frequently. And Mary Lou has been trying to talk me over, and I think she's mostly right. But here's why. If you go on the Wheel of Time subreddit or any other Wheel of Time online community, and you mention Egwene, here's what you're going to hear. Egwene is a stuck-up, arrogant, narcissistic bitch who doesn't listen to Randall Thor, the Dragon Reborn much, and she's a know-it-all. And even in the Eye of the World, if you go back there, she's just always putting the boys down. And she is a classic iteration of this feminazi, man-hating, misandrist bullshit. Right? That's why people don't like it.
That's pretty much it, yeah. And sometimes it's actually kind of funny. Like, what was that comment you saw about the trailer? So the trailer opens up with Nynaeve pushing Egwene off a cliff into a river. And someone commented, well, at least they know what the fan base wants to see. Okay, that is very funny.
Here we go. I didn't expect my first glimpse to be Nynaeve yeeting Egwene off a cliff. Me neither, but they clearly know how to appeal to the fan base.
So we're not getting this from out of nowhere. Friggin' everybody hates Egwene. And she is seen, at least amongst the fan base, which I'm gonna go ahead and say is most of the male fan base, as like some sort of feminazi bitch. Yeah. And she has her faults. She really does. I get it. But she's really not that bad, you guys. And let's talk about why. I just read Eye of the World again. And when you read Eye of the World and you say, oh, Egwene is always putting these boys down. Yeah, because the boys are constantly fucking up and doing the absolute dumbest shit possible. Like,
True.
At every turn. Rand is not the Dragon Reborn yet. Well, of course, he's been the Dragon Reborn since the day he was birthed.
He is, though, just a sheep herder.
What? He's just a sheep herder. So whenever she's like putting him down, it's because he's just a guy that she knows who is like her friend, but also kind of her boyfriend. And he's doing dumb stuff with his dumb friends. Matt fucking up literally every page, being a brat. Perrin also being a brat about the wolf thing and the tinkers and his axe, being all sad boy. Matt taking the dagger because nobody said the words "don't touch a dagger with a ruby hilt," and he was like, well, you didn't say that sentence, so you never said I couldn't touch it. No,
technically not a violation of the rules that you laid out.
A violation of the rules. Well, actually, Warren never said not to touch a ruby hilted dagger. So technically,
she said don't accept a gift. She said don't accept a gift, but I took it myself from the ground. Anyway,
literally the dumbest. Anyway, so
let me lay out what happens to Egwene in the Eye of the World. Here we have this. Look, Egwene is brilliant. Egwene is very smart, talented.
And she knows she's destined to be the next wisdom.
Capable, young woman who dreams of something beyond her little village. She yearns for adventure. And then into her village come these two strangers. This mysterious noble woman and her intrepid and handsome guard, it seems. And then what happens? The Trollocs attack. Lightning called from the skies. Oh, this woman, this beautiful woman. She's an Aes Sedai. This could be her ticket out of here. But what happens next? Does this woman go to Egwene and say, I recognize your potential. Let me take you out of this village into a life of adventure? No. This woman goes to these three fuck up boys who want nothing to do with it. They're all like, I just want to live on the farm forever. And she takes these three dumbasses and she wants to take them to a life of adventure. And Egwene has to freaking invite herself.
She invites herself.
She invites herself. She sees this happening and she says, no, you're taking me. And just imagine how frustrating that would be. Like, it's your dream to leave.
Rand wants nothing of it. Do not want to leave. They talk about it all the time. They go to the Mountains of Mist and have their 3-day adventure with which they get into lots of trouble for. And they go, oh, that's enough for us. That's enough adventure for us. She is destined to be the wisdom. Everybody says after Nynaeve, you'll be the next wisdom. And if not, you'll go to another town and be that town's wisdom. And she's like, I don't want that for me.
Exactly.
You know, be the lady mayor of the town, that lots of power and responsibility. She's like, I don't want that. I want to explore. She reads the book about Jane Farstrider over and over. She wants adventure and exploration, and finally gets her chance, and these dumb sheep herders get it instead. I don't think so.
So she invites herself along on this journey. That's initiative. Already. Point to Egwene. That's great. Would any of you do that? Probably not. You're probably like, oh, I would do that. But then when push comes to shove, I mean, I don't think I would. She invites herself on the journey. And then this Aes Sedai tells her, actually, you've got potential to be an Aes Sedai. Come to Tar Valon and learn magic.
Not only can you become an Aes Sedai, you could become one of the most powerful Aes Sedai in the last 1,000 years. Your potential is so high.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all anybody tells her for the next like hundreds and hundreds of pages.
Well,
is what insane potential she has.
Before that, though, she has Moiraine telling her this. You have all this potential. Come be great with me and be a Aes Sedai in Tar Valon. And what does fucking Rand al'Thor say? Rand al'Thor, the Dark One is after me specifically. What? That's crazy. You're going to go to Tar Valon? No, you need to go back home to the Two Rivers.
It's too dangerous for you, Egwene. It's too dangerous. I don't want you to get hurt.
Yeah.
And she just is a full-on like, not your choice, one. Two, oh, it's dangerous, but it's okay for you, but not for me. What the hell? And also, I have this power. You think I shouldn't use it? It would literally kill her if she doesn't use it and doesn't learn how to use it. And they're like, that's fine. Just go home, Egwene.
But let's jump forward. Egwene, it is true, Egwene is a little bit abrasive.
She is bossy.
Egwene is bossy. Egwene is arrogant. Letting go of power. But when you think about what she's been through, and for anyone joining us on Twitch, we are talking mad spoilers up in her.
Mad spoilers right now. Probably
so go away if you haven't read the books. Be gone.
Be gone. This is probably for season 2 of Wheel of Time. I doubt they get to the Shan Chan in season 1. I think that's going to be much later.
Egwene gets kidnapped and turned into a dagnab magic slave.
She becomes enslaved and is tortured on the regular, and not only physically, but also mentally and emotionally, because they're trying to sculpt her into a servile dog of a human being, someone who has previously had a very high opinion of themselves and lots of power and agency. Now is told, not only are you not allowed to have that agency, you need to believe it. and they are punishing even her own thoughts because they can sense her thoughts and emotions. They're punishing even her own thoughts that aren't subservient. And that is torture. Mental, spiritual, physical, because she's getting beaten daily.
So that's like Egwene's main like character arc defining trauma early in the series. But that is far from her first trauma. Egwene spends all of the Eye of the World suffering the same trauma the rest of them are. She has Trollocs attack her village. She's fleeing in the night from Murdral and Trollocs. She's in fucking Shadar Logoth. She's running away from all these motherfuckers with Perrin.
Goes through the ways.
She goes through the ways. She gets kidnapped by the White Cloaks and told she's going to be executed. She's like, goes through some fucking shit. And that's in the lead up to getting to Tar Valon, where she's going to be safe and finding the one power as her sanctum. Finally, I've made it here. All of this suffering was worth it to end up here, where she's lied to by an Aes Sedai, betrayed, kidnapped by a foreign conquering army, turned into a magic slave, suffers all this abuse, and she's only like freaking 18?
18? She's very young.
She's young.
And she literally has PTSD for the rest of the series. Whenever she's confronted, remember she's with Moiraine and Nynaeve with Mat in the stretcher between them. They're on their way to Tar Valon. Right outside of Tar Valon, some White Cloaks come up just to like intimidate them. It's very clear that they don't have the power to do anything, but she sees them. She thinks about getting kidnapped and absolutely loses it and starts blowing up the earth around all these White Cloaks, really like injuring and damaging them, which is against the rules very much. But she keeps repeating to herself, I will not be chained again. I will not be held prisoner again. She's literally experiencing PTSD symptoms. Not like, we're not exaggerating that. That is real. She's having physical flashbacks and a trauma response that results in like violence.
Mm-hmm. And then people, and like, look, I will admit, I have accused Egwene of being a narcissist, and part of me still stands by that. I do think her narcissism is a trauma response. When she
has to focus only on herself.
When she's made Amyrlin at the age of 19 or 18 or whatever, however old she is, the child Amyrlin, like that happens, and she knows this, as part of a broader scheme. She is a pawn in Aes Sedai schemes, and they make her Amyrlin because why?
They think they can control her.
That is Egwene's freaking trigger.
That's her one trigger is people thinking that they can control her, which is so how does she respond when she's taken prisoner in the White Tower again? She accepts it with a serenity that is unhuman. Right?
Unhuman.
Again, she is beaten and tortured and mentally and emotionally abused again. And how does she accept it this time? By saying, you have no power over me. You cannot control me, right? You may have me physically contained in this room, but spiritually, I shall never be chained again. This is all a trauma response for somebody who's really, really traumatized.
And what happens when Rand al'Thor, whom I love, like one of my favorite characters of all time in any piece of fiction, but when you compare like Egwene's response to being in the tower, in the daily beatings and torture she suffers at the hands of the Aes Sedai and the Red Ajah specifically, to how Rand responds to being in the box, which I know isn't entirely equivalent, but it's still torture at the hands of the same people, and Egwene's lasts for a lot longer. Rand fucking breaks. Understandably,
loses it.
No judgment. I would have broken a lot earlier.
Too. And he lets that color his entire perception of all Aes Sedai, not just the Red Ajah, but the entire White Tower, which causes him problems in the future when he cannot trust the White Tower. Even Egwene, the person that he knows that he grew up with, that, he thought he was going to marry.
And then after that, that's when we get the whole arc of like, I must become rock, I must become steel, I must become Queen DR. Like, we get Darth Rand.
Dark Rand.
We see, I think, a similar trajectory in Egwene, although, like, she doesn't think about it in the same terms. Like, she sees what she's forged into through her torture in the tower as becoming like the ultimate Amerlin seat. I am Aes Sedai. I am the White Tower. I can bear this. But she's doing the same thing Rand does. She's like, I must become something unhuman. I must become something that cannot be harmed.
And better. And that's literally the first chapter. The first chapter, who's it narrated by? Egwene. What is she talking about? Being the best water carrier that Two Rivers has ever seen, right? She says, I'm going to be the best water carrier in Eamon's Field. I'm going to be the first girl to be brought up into, the youngest girl to ever get to braid her hair. And then she's the youngest Amerlin seat. This is like deeply rooted in her, this sort of like sense of self that is systematically chipped away at until she becomes a crystallized version of, the ultimate Aes Sedai. And you know what? Something I want to point out. Something that really bothers me. Let me just talk about something that really bothers me for a second. But I'm not upset. I am bothered. Everybody talks about how Egwene is so bossy and a feminazi and kind of a bitch. And she always thinks she's right. And she always gets her own way. Do those things not also exactly describe Nynaeve? But we love Nynaeve. We love her. Mm-hmm. So why is it different for Egwene? Is it because she becomes Amerlin and is part of the White Tower while Nynaeve always sets herself against the White Tower, right? Which is femininity, not personified, but, symbolized in the White Tower. And Nynaeve is always like, that's not my thing. I'm different. And so the fan base is like, yeah, you are different. She and Egwene are so similar. That's why they fight so much in the 3rd and 4th books. So why does Egwene get shit for the stuff that Nynaeve does too? Nynaeve is controlling. Nynaeve is arrogant. Nynaeve is a narcissist. So why, or maybe she's not as much of a narcissist. I
don't think Nynaeve is a narcissist.
She's not a narcissist. She's always thinking about healing other people. Right, yes, she's always thinking about
I think the main difference, like why you see that distinction in the fan base reaction is that I think it entirely comes down to how they position themselves with regards to Rand. Nynaeve dedicates all of her decisions, like she understands very early on, basically, like Rand is the key.
True.
Rand is important.
As wisdom, right? She's like dedicated to the idea that she takes care of her town. She takes care of her people. That's why she follows Moiraine. That's she's going to get her boys back, right? Get Egwene back because she's dedicated to them. So no, she's not a narcissist. She is doing it for other people, but she has an incredibly high opinion of herself.
Oh, she's arrogant. But yeah, I think like Nynaeve sides with Rand and commits herself to Rand. Whereas Egwene sides with the Aes Sedai eventually against Rand to the point where she is like, no, you have to listen to me. I'm the Amerlin seat. Kneel to me, you dragon reborn, you. And like, that's where I think that's where I hate Egwene.
That is a huge mistake. Yeah, I think that is a mistake that character made. I don't think it was a mistake for Robert Jordan to write that, though. I think it's a really interesting moment.
I think it's completely realistic. And I think it's entirely consistent. But I do, like, at that point, that's where you start to see, like, okay, all this that has happened, this crystallization of Egwene into the perfect Queen DR. Yeah. right. You know what I'm talking about. The crystallization of Egwene into this like embodiment of Aes Sedai's serenity and power and control and authority as Amerlin's seat. And she then embodies the flaws of the White Tower itself in her interactions with
which has
Rand
a lot of flaws
as the Dragon Reborn. But you can understand like her frustration, I think, in that moment. First of all, Rand, far from perfect. Rand balefired a damn city. He's killed a bunch of people. A lot of people have died because of mistakes he's made. He's been erratic. He is insane. Like, that's true. He's going insane.
He literally is insane. Whether his insanity, gives him knowledge that nobody else has, or not. He literally has a madman in his head, and he refuses assistance from the White Tower that could have really helped, right? That could have saved a lot of lives. And he's always talking about saving lives and people shouldn't die because of me, but they do a lot because he doesn't trust the White Tower. And I can see why Egwene would view that as, well, I just need to grasp it tighter, right? Instead of, hold on loosely. They each dig in their heels on each other's side, right? Which is a big mistake, right? So Rand and Egwene make the same mistake of digging harder into their position. And we know that Rand is the correct one, right?
Right. We know Rand is right because he's the Dragon Reborn.
Because he's the Dragon Reborn.
And we're sitting there like, Egwene, just take the L on this one.
Right? Take the L. She doesn't. She can't.
She can't.
She cannot take the L.
And that's consistent from the very beginning of the series, and I love that.
Not take an L, right? That's why she fights Nynaeve. That's why she leaves with Moiraine. That's why she does anything absolutely that she does. She cannot take why I will never be chained again. Can't take the L. And honestly, I respect that. She makes a lot of mistakes because of it. And that's why I think Egwene ain't that bad, you guys.
She ain't that bad, you guys. Even if you don't like who she becomes, the crap out of me. She's an incredible character. I think she's like, just at the level of crafting fiction, she's an incredibly well-written character. Everything she becomes, all of the flaws that harden and crystallize into the Amyrlin Egwene that maybe is so frustrating to watch at the end of the series, is entirely consistent with who she is from the first chapter of The Eye of the World. And that is incredible writing and incredible character work.
It's amazing to have an antagonist who's also your best friend, right?
It is.
So Egwene does become an antagonist at some point, and she's the first person we hear from on the first page of the first chapter. We've spent thousands of pages getting to know her. That's fascinating. So I appreciate it. Does she frustrate me? Yes, but I do not hate Egwene, and she ain't that bad, you guys. But let us know what you think. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not.
And just last comment. Even if you hate Egwene and think she's an annoying feminazi, you got to admit she's a fucking badass.
She's a badass.
She's a badass from just everything she does. But from the abuse she takes in the White Tower, her mastery of Teleron Riod, her just to the very end and the fucking last battle when she literally crystallizes, Egwene is a badass.
She's a badass, you guys.
And for those reasons, Egwene ain't that bad, you guys.
She ain't that bad.
Follow us on Maidens of the Spear on Twitch and YouTube. You can also tweet at us at Spear Maidens and let us know what you think. Is Egwene that bad, you guys? Maybe she is. She's not. But you can be wrong about that.
Sure.
We just spent however much time we just spent saying how great it was that Egwene dug in and was wrong about the shit she was wrong about. So you can do the same, and we'll still love you.